was in the VHDF. That's the print off of all the wire hairs Vizslas that I've ever run.
That's it.
That's me.
So if you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, I'm with Matt Frank. And Matt Frank is not only becoming the only thing we haven't done together now is actually hunt.
Yeah.
We just got done shooting sporting clays at Blendon Pines out here. What is this? North of Holland, South?
Yeah, Blendon Township.
Blendon Township, Michigan, which everybody in West Michigan would know, but the rest of you don't really give a rip, so I don't know why I'm bantering about it, except that it's a really nice place. It's a really, really nice place. Got a walk-through sporting clays. I guess you could bring your own golf cart if you were, or you could bring the golf caddy. And I just shot the
Eventide.
Eventide. It's an odd name. I just shot Mossberg Eventide over under synthetic 20 gauge black on black. I don't know. Did I shoot 50?
Oh,
50%.
Close enough.
I took 50 shells. I took 65.
You shot better than I did.
No. That is a bold-faced lie, Matt. So, Matt's been on the show before. What was our title we called that one? We kind of talked about Mossberg a lot, and we got about your large Munsterlander.
Yep.
So 13 months ago, your dog was born, or you got it 12 months ago, and you weren't getting him. You were not getting that dog.
No.
I had my wire-haired Vizsla. What were you going to get? I can't remember.
Picardy Spaniel.
That's right. It was like hens, like looking for hen's teeth.
Yeah, and I had a couple breedings that didn't work out, and they're good breeds.
So you would have probably had one.
Yeah. And then just, man plans and God laughs. Out of the blue, the timing worked out. I ran into another gentleman that I know that has a Molly dog. No. This is Bill McDermott.
Okay.
And he trained a little bit with NAVHDA.
Okay.
And ran into him. He doesn't even live in my town. I ran into him at the farm store, and we started talking. And and it just spiraled out of control. And next thing I know, my wife says, "Get this dog."
Now, did she see a picture, or did she just see your eyes?
She loves me.
God, you're so lucky. You're so lucky, braggart. I could say that too, but I'm not going to, because my wife doesn't listen to the show. So that's how you ended up. It wasn't because you saw mine. You were looking for Picardy, but you ran into the guy you knew.
Exactly, and I'd seen yours a little bit.
Right.
Seen others, and you go through your list of what's important to you. I want a dog that's biddable. I don't want a sharp dog. I want a dog that can handle water, that likes water retrieve.
You waterfowl. You got a place out on the east side of the
Saginaw
state.
Yep.
Yeah. So are you gonna do? You still have a lab?
Yep.
Are you gonna?
Oh yeah.
You must. God. From the stories I've heard on Trap 11, you better be duck hunting that dog.
Yeah. He's very obedient. Wants to please. No complaints. I mean, his shortcomings are because of what I've taught him.
You got that from Pivot Kennel?
Yep. Which
is over in Wisconsin.
Yep. And they actually whelped the litter for Zophie. So this was
from Zamaldi.
Yep. And had the pleasure of training with her one weekend this summer. She came back over from Hungary and
excuse me. Yeah. Tried to inhale, smoke, and drink water all at the same time.
It's the water.
It's not beer. So did you meet her after you got the pup, or did you meet Zophie when you picked up the pup?
After
you did the big circle with her, and
and
saw who was in charge that day.
Yeah,
Zophie's in charge.
Oh, she's in charge.
She's in charge.
It was a great experience. I think he was maybe 6 months old when we went over there.
Mm-hmm.
And just he's a little older than that, but regardless,
old enough to have fun and do stuff with.
Oh yeah,
I like bringing a little toddler puppy.
Exactly. I mean, he was probably 9 months old. We did a little water work. We did a little retrieving, pointing. Pointing's always been his strong suit. Same with search and desire in the field.
Well, you've been sending me videos since you got the dog.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm mad at is that my dog is. Well, no, I love my wire-haired Vizsla. I really do. I think he's got low T. If he doesn't, he's got low D. If that's not it, I have low D to get him out and do more. That is the opposite approach you took with this dog.
Yep.
I'm sure it's been repeated, but I don't think in this breed. You've done the Versatile Hunting Dog Federation test.
Yep.
You've done the NAVHDA test, and you've done AKC testing.
Yep.
All in this calendar year with your wire-haired Vizsla.
Yep. He just turned 13 months, and
so technically, you got 2 more months if you wanted to run again.
yeah, we're not doing that.
We had to discuss. We might cover that later. What did you do first with him?
As far as a puppy,
In the testing organizations.
I ran a junior hunt test, AKC,
Right.
and I liked it because they run a brace, right from the beginning,
Right.
And
said dog used to something else in the field.
Yep. And I think that was March, probably, or end of March. And the birds didn't fly well. He passed. He got a pass, fine. But he caught every bird. They didn't fly but a few feet. So,
And that's not. See, I only ran junior hunter one time.
Yep.
That particular situation didn't happen to you, so they didn't fault the dog. They were still just scoring him on his search and his pointing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly it. And then,
but what did catching those birds do?
It made him not want to point.
And now you got.
Then I had an N8 test coming up in the next month.
The next month,
you
got a dog now back home that's like, hey.
Yeah. But, I mean, he wants to please me as much as he's got drive. So, I mean, it's very balanced.
That's balanced, yeah.
So it took him walking him into a trap with a check cord, me recognizing quickly when he caught scent and didn't stop and just putting the brakes on and I mean, it was like turning a light bulb on. He just kind of flinched and, oh, I'm supposed to stop.
Right.
And then we went right back to it. But then I stopped.
So it was kind of like natural instinct, perfect with pointing.
Yeah.
Got a little teenage excitement, got some birds, which doesn't always do that to a dog, but certainly you had repeated birds at this. It wasn't like a one-off.
Right.
Every little bird got up and went straight to the ground. And he's like, I'll get it for you.
Exactly.
And then he said, do I really need to point?
Exactly.
But genetics won out too.
Yeah. And once we got him back on in a couple weeks, he would lucky to see 2 pigeons.
Yeah.
Because they don't land.
Right.
In a month.
Right.
It was very sparingly.
Yeah.
And basically from that point on, it was more to steady him. I started working on steadying him, walking him in where he's on point. And
you wanted him to be a little steadier than a puppy needed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he was so biddable. He just wanted to, he would stand there for me.
Anyway. I told you that, of course. The one thing that I liked about Tagus was I really didn't put him on any birds.
Yeah.
Found out that, should have took him on more puppy walks.
Yeah.
Well, although he binged his test, that was not a problem. There was a point there I was going like, holy cow, you're not hunting. But it just took birds to wake him up a little bit. But the pointing instinct sounds like, I know what, I'm not going to say it's all Zophie Zamaldi's kennel, but I've heard that from the other people in my litter, like early on, you saw the pointing early on, and it'd be up to you if you messed it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, for his first 6-8 months of his life, there was very few controls other than crate training, wowing at the door, wowing at the feeding, that kind of stuff. And we would do puppy walks every day or every other day and just go explore. When he was 6 months old, we went to Kansas and
that's right.
Just let him run.
Yeah.
And I watched a 20-yard dog become a 40-yard dog, become a 60-yard. By the end of the week, he was a 120-yard dog.
Nice.
And it was, and I didn't talk to him.
Right.
I just let him do his thing. And
it's probably kind of like, I wonder if I can go a little further.
Yep.
And, he's still there.
Yep.
And no one's yelling at me.
Yep.
And you said he's kind of a natural check backer.
Yep.
I mean, does he check back to almost, not I want to say heel, circling it, or just kind of come back to where you're visually connected?
It's usually visually connected, maybe 20 yards.
Yeah, you're right. Then he's
back out there again and go do something else.
Yeah. Is he a patterny dog, or is he more of a line?
I'd like to see more pattern,
but that's something you can work on.
But that's something we can work on. He does he's a puppy. He takes the easy way out. If I'm on a foot trail, he's going to want to run the foot trail.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there biting my teeth with just
why aren't you in the break? And you got to get into cover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you remind him a few times, and then he goes and does his thing.
Right.
You know.
And then when they get success there, they're never going to.
Right.
You'll be able to walk I'm saying a GEMS trail, that's going to be crowded, but you'll be able to walk a logging road and he's going to stay. Right. He's going to stay in the cover and do his job.
Right.
So you did one leg of an AKC.
Yep. Yeah, he's got his junior.
But that time, and then you went back for more of that.
Yeah. We put it on hold because I didn't need him catching more birds or not pointing. I had a NAVHDA NA test, which the NAVHDA system.
You had that all lined up.
Yeah. The NAVHDA test is a little more important to me just because it's a versatile
based.
And being part of the club here.
Yeah.
You know, and enjoying that. And
that went well for you?
Yeah. I mean, he did exactly, I wrote out the score, what I figured he'd do before he went and did it. And that's exactly what he did.
Be very careful. They're going to make you a prentice judge. They could use some good judges.
No. And actually, when we came back, one of my buddies says, how'd he do? Because they knew that tracking sometimes mentally he's not there to start.
Right.
And I said, I'd have given him a 1, but they're going to give him a 2. And they gave him a 2, you know. He blew the track, and we knew it. But
he must have tracked portions of it.
Oh, he did. Absolutely.
Right. You don't get a 2 for just some forward progress.
No.
You get a 1 for acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You know, where we don't want to zero a dog out. Like, he acknowledged it a couple times.
And I created that problem. I firmly believe it because we did a little track training.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay attention to the wind. And I let him get off, overrun the track, get out, go to a search pattern, and find it on his own air scent.
And that's what's people, I've said this, I'm not the only person that said this, I didn't invent this. Dogs are great at teaching themselves. And if it works, like why would they not do that?
Exactly.
And then you think about not in every testing format. Sometimes if it's a double test, somebody's going to go do tracking first.
Yep.
But dog gets out of the field, he's finding birds on a search pattern. You're sending him on the straight line for a track. He's going to go, I wonder if I opened up a little bit.
Yep.
It's not even like he didn't want to track. It's like, I wonder if I should rely on my search.
Yep.
Or if I should get back to it sounds like he did a little both.
Yep. And that's what he did. He would track. And he's young and he's excitable, and that's something I need to learn as a handler. How do I calm him down before we let him go on the track? Because everybody wants to get him going on the motion forward. Right. If I do that, he's going to overrun it. He's going to take off like a shot, like I'm ready to go. And
you want to let him on a slow release.
Let him figure it out. Yep. Because any other time, well, like in the VHDF, he went and did a victory lap and went and played, screwed around, and then he came back around and he hit the scent on his own, and it was a game changer. Light bulb on, tracking.
He's like, there's my job.
This is it.
I'll stick on a NAVHDA because, I'm very partial to the Federation these days because I'm judging for them. So you got field and track. You had a little FUPA in the track, which isn't a big FUPA.
Yep.
Sounds like you must have got 4s everywhere else. Yep. Yeah. Look at that. You even brought a mock card up. Look at that. 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4. Yeah. God, that's a good dog. Eyes okay. Teeth okay. Teeth okay. Dense, medium. Yeah. Shit, yeah. So when you told me you were going to do the Federation test, you and I don't talk maybe every month or sometimes 2 months.
Right.
Like when somebody's on the road and we want to kill a little windshield time.
Yep.
When did you decide to do the Federation test? I mean, that wasn't already planned.
It wasn't 100% planned. I knew about it maybe a year or two earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about it. I think you had done a podcast a year ago, maybe.
Yep.
And then I've read or heard about it here or there. And then as I started getting into this breed, and like I say, I'm very active in our NAVHDA club. I love it, but I love the 10-point system.
Right.
And I started thinking about it, and talking to different people.
Well, even looking at your 4s, to say that.
Well,
a 4 is
last year.
A 4 is not perfect.
Here's my biggest dilemma. Last year, I went to a names and rules clinic.
Oh, did you?
And we kept looking at these dogs, and I kept going, it's a 3.5. It's a I don't want to give you a 4 but it's a 3.5. And they kept looking at me and says, if it's more than a 3, it's a 4.
Right.
And I'm like, but.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, especially new judges, it irks me because my mentor he'd slap me if I said low 3.
Yeah.
Or a low 4.
Yep.
It only took one glance for him to go like, I don't know about your scorecard around, but I don't see lows and highs and decimal points.
Yep. That was
you like that idea of that what they call that, not minutia, but it's more granular. It's got more substance to it.
Yeah. It just helped me process things in my brain. I'm very analytical.
Right.
I mean, I got a binder.
Right. Yeah, you showed up with a binder. I mean, you got the health test to this, to that. But so going from let's take it on, that might be a little bit of we are still at Blendon Pines recording. Those guys might be, should we close this? I can put this out. We can close this door.
Ken?
Let's do that. Good sound effects, though. So to talk about the scoring system, you signed up for the Federation test.
Yep. Which
uses a 10-point with 11s and 12s. Every once in a while that's given out. I've seen a couple. Your field search score in NAVHDA was a 4.
Yep.
What was your field search score in the Federation? It's here somewhere. Search 8. Right?
Yep.
That is the exact point we talk about a 4. A 4 is not perfect.
Yep.
A 4 is, if you had to break it down in numbers, it's 76% of the work.
Yep.
And above. I mean, we don't ever say I'm going to give the dog 78.
Yep.
You have a 4.
And here's the other thing. So he got an 8 there. He deserved that 8.
Right.
On the NA test, he deserved a 10.
Oh, so but there's no room for it.
There's no room for a 10. I mean, he was.
What did you see different in him? Was
he was aloof, just kind of floating around. He had to he figured out what his coconuts are for by this age. Mark on every other.
Vargas does that too. Of all times, though, he didn't do it on test day.
Yep.
I could take him out to the grounds there on where we go on. What is it? Hart Road.
Yep.
That dog will peek 10 times getting to the first bird because it smells everything else out there. So he was doing that.
Yep.
He's a little older.
Yep.
And he was like, huh.
And we drove to do this test. We drove 9.5 hours at night to get there. And then slept for 2 hours and then jumped out of the truck. I did it. And I don't make excuses. I mean, I was tired.
He wasn't marking because he held his bladder for
no.
He was marking because
he didn't have his head screwed on straight.
Right. But an 8 is a good score.
It's a good score.
It's a damn good score.
Yep.
And then now water, you said in the beginning you had some hesitant in the water as a puppy?
As a puppy.
But then how long did it take him to break through that?
It just took, on his terms, in comfort level, maybe a month, 2 months, and it was slow progression.
Did you get that done last fall while there was no ice, or did you get it done
in the spring
with the cold water?
Yeah. Yeah.
And lab people won't put their lab in the water under 60 degrees.
Yep. Yep.
But we do.
I did have him in the water like in November and December, but he'd go up to his belly, he'd get a little cold.
It's cold.
He'd run back, and I didn't force him.
And he was a young puppy.
He was a young puppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What really lit it up and gave him the desire, I hate to put human,
anthropomorphize,
but he's almost a thinking dog. I mean, he has to think about it, and then if I kennel him, he comes back and he performs what I asked him to do the next time. I mean, I leave him wanting a little.
It's a high-level cooperation dog.
Yeah.
He that I was always, at least one judge explained to me, cooperation is what they do for you you didn't ask for.
Right.
Even though you're saying, I put him away and he came back, it's almost like he's like, I got to do something. It's like he just knew he had to do something better for you.
Yep. And quite honestly, it took a pigeon in the pond to make it to where I don't think twice.
Right. Yeah. And now I did that with Artie, my Bronco. I was like, she went in the water before. I put a pigeon in the water. It was flapping. She thought every dummy I ever threw in the water was a pigeon. Yeah, it became easy.
Yeah, but I only did it once. I didn't want to make it a habit that,
expecting it.
Exactly.
Right. So what's interesting, nose 10 obviously knows a 4.
Yep.
And if they're tracking and they found birds and pointed, it's a good score. But the water's the one thing that's difference between the Federation and the NAVHDA test.
Yep.
You got a 9 in water.
Yep. This
tells me you didn't use a bumper.
Correct.
Most NAVHDA people would freak out. And you've been to, this isn't your first NAVHDA test. Your large muster lander years ago. You went through this. In the Federation, you're allowed to use a bumper if you want to, but they're not going to give you a maximum score of 10 for it.
Right.
You will get it, and if it goes in twice for a bumper, great, gets an 8.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. But in the Federation, they're going to have you go up to the line and just, all right, Matt, send your dog into the water.
Yep.
With no stimulation. How long did you practice that?
No. I actually didn't know if we were going to be able to do it. But now
you didn't go off right with the bumper first, though.
No. And I went in thinking an 8's a good score. I'm going to get an 8.
Right.
We'll go in for a bumper.
Right.
But it goes back to my training, like AKC running in a brace.
Right.
This, I had been working on him on retrieving and trying to get him to lengthen out blind.
That's right.
Trust me.
You still have a lab, and you've taught your lab to handle duck work, right?
Yep.
Wide retrieves, over his backs.
Yep.
And you're already doing that with him.
A little bit, yep. And that's what it took. I just lined him up, and I said, I put my hand over his, out in the pond, and there were some lily pads out there.
Right.
I said, Mark, back.
His name's not Mark.
No. And listen to me. Some of the retrieving guys would probably get all wound up, but anytime I want him to focus on something that I'm steering him towards, I'd tell him to mark. Pay attention.
Right.
There's birds coming in.
Right.
And he just locked on the lily pads out there, stuff out there, because he's also associated with that stuff out there with a bird.
Right.
We've had a couple ducks out at there that he's got to go chase.
Why wouldn't there be one? How did you get him back in? Did you whistle or just say, okay, boy?
He went, and this is what I thought was great about, I think it was Jeff, that was one of the judges, and he handed me a bumper, and he said, throw the bumper for the dog. Reward him.
Isn't that great?
That way he'll want to do it again.
So you can use the bumper to get him out of the water.
Yeah, and rewarded him for doing what I asked him to do.
Exactly.
At test day.
And if you did that pattern a few times, and here's the thing, when I first saw that, like 2 years ago, the first time I judged for him, I was like, I think we only had 3 puppies. And I thought to myself, I bet you they're all going to need a bumper, because I came from the NAM to work.
Yeah.
And like all 3 of these dogs just went off and you could say started their duck search.
Yep.
Like they just went out in the water with purpose.
Yep.
And the owners would go, come on, good boy, good boy, good boy. And I remember, I think it was one of the other judges said, hey, use a bumper to get him back on shore if you want to. And the dog came back up. He got his little reward, put the bumper away, and he sent him again.
Yep.
That is something Bob Ferris told me Bob Ferris used to run all the AKC high level stuff back in the day. He was a lab guy.
Yep.
And he said one of his old AKC buddies came by to a NAVHDA natural ability test. And at Bob's place, Bob would park on the road. He had his buddy in the truck, and you could watch the whole test on the road, And his buddy said, if you call that a water test, because he goes, that one dog, you threw 9 bumpers for it.
Yeah.
He says, tell me, Bob, this is not your water test. Oh.
And I don't know who I learned it from. I'm always trying to learn from everybody and every experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I did all 3 of these tests this year, just to learn, to be able to talk about it. But, so right now the Invitational's just starting for NAVHDA.
Right.
First day's today.
Okay.
So they're running in a brace. A lot of these dogs never run in a brace until after they get a utility.
Right.
And now I got to work on a brace. We didn't work on a brace at the beginning.
Right.
You know, why not work on a blind retrieve with your puppy from the beginning?
As long as you can take some version of that blind retrieve in the backyard and then away from the yard.
Same, you know, and all them things. If you want it at the end, then start at the beginning.
Right.
You know, I don't know where I'm not smart enough to come up with this on my own. I learned it from reading and watching other people.
Didn't learn it from my podcast, I can tell you that.
But, you know, backing, AKC, the next step up, the senior, they're expected to back.
Right.
That's a UPT dog.
In field talent, but it's an invitational dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the cool things about Federation is their 3 tests. Their third test is kind of like going to Invitational.
Yep.
You've got a brace mate.
Yep.
Now, you don't have that distraction at the water of another dog. That portion of it is that, whatever that one's called. I forgot already.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where you have to honoring at the
blind. Yeah. Thank you. You don't have to do that, but in the PE test, you do 3 back-to-back water, 3 different water things all in a row.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. And I'm thinking, like, even if I don't do the test, I got to start thinking like you're thinking, like, might need this when he's 2. Why do I want to wait till he's 2 to teach it or read Huckleberry Finn?
Well, I want a hunting dog.
Right.
He's my buddy.
Right.
He's my hunting dog.
Yeah.
And I hunt with other people. Sometimes they run with another dog.
Yeah.
I want them to run with that dog, and I want them to back that other dog.
And know that a strained dog is not the enemy or anything like that.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a great approach. And I can tell you a lot of people in NAVHDA don't bother with the AKC. But I would tell you, it's a more available test. It's not like trying to sign up for, you can find opportunities without driving 9 hours, and you can find them pretty easy.
Yeah.
And get that dog used to doing his job in the field with another dog.
Yep. And the junior test is pretty simple.
Yeah, it's not as complex as, there's no tracking of a pheasant.
Right.
It's just your field work.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you have to pass it 4 times.
Right.
So it's kind of proofing it. It's not, I did it once, we're done.
Right.
You know, and so.
Because it's a very basic field test.
Very basic.
But you do use a blank gun.
Yep.
They've got a point, and they will, obviously it could happen they're going to pretty much separate those puppies.
If they start puppy playing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they'll run you in more of a clean field.
They start
bird feed.
Yeah, they start you in a bird field, and they judge you on the same basic stuff: hunting, bird finding ability, pointing, and trainability.
Right. Now your pointing scores were better as he got older. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean up to interpretation, but he's real.
Do you get points where you're going? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say nothing, but boy, I thought it was better than that.
I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, but you know, I remember.
I think sometimes interpretation. What I know my dog, they don't know my dog. They only get to see it for a few minutes,
right?
And you know, his last AKC test. Some of these birds I had to relocate him 3-4 times to find the bird, and he kept pointing and locking up.
Pointing and locking up. And you're able to move him on,
and I couldn't find the bird. And because it's a quail in a grass field, and he's locking up at 15 yards or 20 yards.
Right.
And one of them was running, and every time he'd see it, he'd point. He was tracking it, point, track, point, track, point, track, point. Finally, I told the judge that the bird's running.
Right.
And we dealt with it, and they were fair and good. But, I mean, I will take that because he's a hunting dog.
I'll take that. I'll take a dog that can not bum rush the bird after its second release or sees a bird.
Yep.
That's rare for a puppy.
Yep.
That's very rare for a puppy. And then, did you get to watch any of the other level tests at NAVHDA or at the Federation?
Yeah, I because I love to learn. I try and do that every place. NAVHDA, I love it because
you didn't sit at the tailgate and
I love planting birds at a NAVHDA test because I get
volunteer and then you get to watch.
I get to watch.
Yeah.
But that was one of the great things with the I always mispronounce the acronym VHDF.
Yeah. I have to think it in my head. Versatile Hunting Dog Federation.
So I didn't watch any of the hays because I was running a hay.
Right.
But after I was done, they encouraged me to walk along in the gallery and
encourage you to
for the A hay and the PE.
Oh wow, both of them.
You know, get involved, watch, and
well, they won't do that now unless the handler, like if you're the friend of the handler, or if you ask the senior judge, "Hey, can I walk along? I'm new." They still will ask the handler.
Yep.
And if he's experienced, he's gonna say, "I don't care if there's 5 people out there."
Yep.
But they encourage you to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great experience, and you know, just a great opportunity because it was they were open to talk about what they were seeing. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it
wasn't like a little calling the silence from Get Smart.
Yeah.
Comes over.
Well, and I think, and like I say, I'm a NAVHDA guy, but because there's not a prize 1 or a prize 2 or a prize 3, it's an evaluation. Here's your number.
There's your number.
And so there's less, you're not trying to qualify for an invitation.
Right.
These are extremely well-trained dogs. These dogs that make it through the NAVHDA system and the score. I mean, they're wonderful dogs, but
the ones that do good.
The one, but
not all of them.
But you know, the people that it seemed to me the people that were in the VHDF were there because they were breeders or the breeder asked them to be there, and it wasn't just because they asked them to be there because they wanted to participate in the breeder's breeding program, to get feedback. So it was less about personal achievement and more about bettering that breeding or that breeder. You know, you know, I got to talk to Kyle Huff.
Huff. There's a dog trainer.
Wealth of knowledge.
And the whole chapter literally lives in his kennel.
Yeah.
You know, and they all work. That chapter gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that chapter gets it.
Yeah. But you asked me why or when did I think the confirmation part of what they did was the reason. That's what finally pushed me over the edge. So I need to do this because I want to know as much about my breed, and I want other people to tell me what I'm seeing or not seeing.
Right.
You know, and I'm not that interested in confirmation shows, the AKC shows.
But this is a confirmation show.
It is.
You're just not running in a circle around with 8 other dogs.
And I don't need to, you know, whether we ever do that, I'll never say never.
Right.
You know, maybe Whit'll do it someday. But I would probably hire someone to handle them.
I would. I walk. So you see how funny I walk. Imagine me, and I used to take Bravo around the ring.
Yeah.
The judge kept looking at me because I walk so funny. So imagine me in a trot.
Yeah.
She's like, "What's the matter with that guy's bat?" She's not even looking at my dog. So the girls that I knew just let us run the dog for you.
Yeah. And really,
how do they do their confirmation? Like, you do stack the dog up for them?
Yep.
Because when I did it, they did not implement that yet.
Okay.
At that test.
What they did, they took I think it's the FCI standard,
Europeans version of the AKC, basically.
Yep. And they read through it. And every section they read through it, then they would go onto their scorecard and they would evaluate it. And all 3 of the judges would evaluate it. Now, he's really too young to really get a good evaluation.
Right.
Because he hasn't filled out
much. It says like lax chest.
Yep.
Well, he's just a young teenager.
Yeah.
I didn't have a big chest. You think I got those pecs when I was 15? No way. But shoulder angle. Yeah, I can't wait to start doing this with them.
This is what excited me about it because it helped me understand my dog.
Yeah. Head, muzzle.
So they
I like the fact that they modestly light, and that's to me. There's a lot of light eyes in a lot of dogs, and when I've read FCI standards and AKC standards, and that's in some breeds that's a fault. Yep. That's a no breed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in every judge, like with the wicket, I guess you call it, measuring his height and his length,
right?
And there's a ratio according to the standard,
right? Some are square, some are rectangular.
Yep. I think I think he's supposed to be just a little bit longer than he is tall, which he is.
Yeah.
But every judge measured it.
Right.
And then they conferred with each other, and they talked openly right in front of you.
Right.
You know, so don't get your feelings hurt. I mean, they're being,
well, a lot of people would not like that. Yeah, but you're such a I don't want to say data free. You like data.
Yep.
You keep a notebook. You've got like a plan with everything you do.
Yep.
And it makes sense that you're going to go there and be like, okay, yeah, no, I get it. That's what I wanted to know.
Yep.
It wasn't like you were going there going, oh, please have me have the best confirmation dog today. You're like, I want, and then if you talk to somebody on the phone, you could say, you know, when he was a teenager, you know, he was it was strong forearms, but he was lacking some angulation, slightly loose feet. I've got that dog I got from Pennsylvania the other day. Talk about loose feet.
Yep.
Looks like,
she
looks like that.
And then for me, it's like, okay, what does slightly loose feet mean?
Right.
I want to go learn what that means, you know.
And then see another dog with, and say, oh, that's what a really tight foot looks like.
Yep. Same with the big thing for me was the angulation of the shoulders, 30 degrees roughly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's fairly straight apparently. You know, I didn't know that.
Right.
And, you know, so now I can look at that and I can learn from that.
Right.
Apparently, that's somewhat common in some of the breeds, like the Vizsla, which they inherited that from.
Yeah.
You get straighter front ends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a breed expert. I'm not an expert in my breed. I'm not an expert.
But you want to know a lot about your breed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So are you planning, maybe not next year, I know you got hunting season coming up, but all this stuff goes on the wayside. Are you going to go to the next level test with any of the organizations or with all three of them?
All three of them.
All three. My God, you're an ambitious, big little boy. You know what? You're making me feel bad in a good way.
Yeah.
Like I used to do this all the time, but I never like ventured into the AKC, and of course the Federation wasn't around then. But I used to be like, okay, NA, UPT, UT. Finally got one shot at the Invitational, and now I get a dog. I run it through NA just because I know the breeder wants to see a good score, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hunt it. And I'm like, I got a little lazy.
Yeah. Well, it keeps me honest.
Yeah.
It keeps me honest. But so now that, the NAVHDA is 16 months.
Right.
For an NA.
Right.
VHDF, I think, says year and a half is preferred, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah. They're not holding you to that.
Right. So I'm past the puppy stage. If it takes me 2 more years to get to UPT or an AHA or a PE or...
Right. It's not like you're going to say next March I'm doing this.
No, there's no schedule. It's up to him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put him in a situation that I know he can't do his job.
I'll tell you what's going to help with his water work. He's already got a great water score in the Federation. Is this hunting duck season.
Absolutely.
And I've said this story so many times. People are like, Ron, please don't talk about your friend Scott's wire hair again. But he came to the NAVHDA test, and we met him. We told him about the test. He had run in the German system, but it's not really like ours.
Right.
Similar. But he says, yeah, I'll sign up. And when he got done with it, he got a maximum score, and he goes, honestly, that wasn't very fucking hard. But he hunted his dog for 2-3 seasons.
Yeah.
Duck hunted his dog a lot.
Yeah.
And the rest of us are all going like, let's pretend we're duck hunting. Let's pretend we're duck hunting. You take a dog duck hunting, that water work is not that.
Exactly.
It's not that dog knows there's some pot of gold at the end of the rain.
Exactly.
I'll go look for a duck for you.
Yeah.
And I can remember having dogs that just, you're like, oh, come on. Never took them duck hunting. That's just not fair.
Yep. No, it was a great experience this year with him. And, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about him, and stereotype. Usually there's some truth in every stereotype.
Right.
That's why it's there.
Yeah.
But, he's not if you want a machine, that's not him.
Right.
He wants to please me as much as he wants to hunt.
Right. And the more hunting you show him, the more
he knows that
just going to reciprocate.
He knows the hunting pleases.
Right. Right.
You know,
And it's going to please him.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like patting yourself on the back without opposing thumbs. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, like I said, I don't know anybody. I'm sure they exist. I doubt if it exists in this breed. Mostly not because the AKC and NAVHDA, there's that crossover. But to run in the other Versatile Dog Federation without being the breed club version, like like a VDD or a Kurtzart club.
Yep.
To do all three of them and be able to say, like, yeah, the same dog pretty much showed up.
Yep.
You know, there wasn't one venue that said he was the best thing since sliced bread, and the other venue said, I don't know. They all said, yeah, this is a good dog.
Yeah.
You gotta be pretty happy.
Oh, I'm tickled to death.
You want to trade?
I'll throw in that pump. I'll throw in that 16 gauge pump shotgun.
No.
I wouldn't trade. No, you know what? I wouldn't trade my little shit. I've got I've got North Dakota coming up, and I'm thinking, okay, I know in the cold weather he hunts fine.
Yep.
I know in the hot, and it's not hot. I know in warmer weather, I've seen him come in for water so much, I'm like, we're not going to find birds. He's just coming in for water. He's thirsty. I don't know if that's desire. I don't know if that's heat tolerance. I don't know if that's a lack of me conditioning him. Probably all three. But that same dog that I don't condition in cold weather can hunt for hours on end.
See, I have the opposite problem. I have a hard time getting them to take water.
Oh, that would be such a nice problem.
Well, it is until you see the white drool and the cotton mouth and
And they can get themselves in trouble, obviously.
Right.
Even in cold weather without coming in for winter. What's your season looking like coming up? You were going to go to Wyoming?
Yeah. And we still might make that happen, but it'll be a little, things change.
Right.
And, but no, the majority of my season is Michigan grouse, woodcock, hunts.
Yeah.
I don't have anything set in stone as far as I will be going to probably South Dakota, pheasant hunting.
Yeah.
We'll be there, but I kind of with work, I wear a lot of hats at work.
Yeah.
And
well, that's a perfect segue, Matt. We're going to segue into what Matt does, which is why Matt and I know it. Actually, Matt and I didn't know each other, but we did that in the last podcast because you reminded me of Pheasant Fest. You said, you judged my dog 15 years ago. And I'm like, I did? Then I'm always like, oh, well, hope it was a good day. Anyway, you work for Mossberg.
Yep.
And Mossberg's been on board with the podcast now a year and a half, and I will say, out of all my sponsors, I don't know if they're making you be this generous or if you're just that. You support, like, when we go to Pheasant Fest, I get a case of koozies, a case of cups, rugs, signs. As a podcaster, and I was as a customer, in fact, I saw the Mossberg carpet out there, the gun shop out here. You guys really you believe in getting name out there, and it's kind of like old school good salesman.
It is.
I like it.
We're an old school company.
Well, yeah. 1917.
19.
It's on my walls, and it's in the trunk.
But no, and we have a great marketing department. We're as a company, we try real hard. We're branded as a family, blue collar, hardworking, a lot of gun for the money, more gun for the money.
Yeah.
So we keep that forefront,
Right.
And we want brand ambassadors. I mean, if you're wearing a Mossberg hat,
someone sees it.
So
So you don't do that unless you give away.
yeah. And that's one of the joys I have whenever I do a Pheasant Fest or a consumer event.
Right.
Time after time after time. My first gun was a Mossberg. I love hearing these stories, especially when I get a young person comes in just beaming, wants to tell me about their first pheasant or their first duck or their first deer, and they, harvested it with a Mossberg, and I think that's the core value, the heart and soul of Mossberg.
Right. It's at the same time, I think anybody would say it would be a gun that an average guy on an average salary could afford. They didn't have to go spend $3,000 even on a waterfall gun.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know all the brands. I mean, I do know the brands probably. I don't know I'll bet you the price ranges of some autoloader duck guns. how high can they go?
Oh, you
Seriously.
you're $2,000-$3,000 for the higher end semi-autos.
Semi-autos.
Yep.
And that one you just got me. What's that model?
That's a 940 waterfall.
It's a 940 waterfall front.
Yeah, I mean,
What did that run?
$1,000 less than.
And we just put it together, and I felt it, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I only do I hope I'm invited duck hunting with it. But I go invite duck hunting. I don't strike out on my own anymore. I used to. I cannot wait to shoot that gun. And you were talking about the insides of it. That goes back to your love of data.
Yeah.
What's it got explain that gas charge system.
Well, I mean, the system.
It's hard to do on a recording.
Just think of it generally, internally, your critical components are either boron nitrated, so it doesn't corrode and the carbon doesn't stick to it.
Right.
It's wet carbon from firing gets coming.
You can get a jammy gun in a hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's stainless steel.
Right.
So, the piston is designed to run cleaner. Mm-hmm. The push rod, the sleeve that's in there is anodized aluminum, not polymer.
Right.
And it's kind of scalloped, so it's reduced the friction by over 50%.
Yeah.
Allows the gas out.
Yeah.
There's actually weep holes in the stock, so if you fill it with water, you set it up right, it's self.
No way.
Yeah.
So you didn't tell me. I want to brag about that one. If you said it, if it did get in, let's say it was in some water.
If you're a waterfowler and you sling,
Yeah.
you put the gun on your sling, I don't care where your duck you're always within an inch of going over your waders.
Right. And the stock could be.
That means the stock is in the water.
Right.
So when you set that gun up, it drains out.
And it's got all the shims and all the things you can put cast on, cast off.
Cast on, cast off. You can raise it or lower it, and then you can adjust the length of pull.
Right.
Your waterfowl hunting, you can shorten that length of pull.
I thought that only, and I'm not trying to be schmaltz here, I thought that only came on the top end guns.
Oh, it does. We are.
What? I mean, the most expensive. You are not the most expensive.
No.
But it's
yeah,
you're doing exactly what they do, but you're doing it at a price point.
At a value.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have that flexibility because we are still a family-owned gun company.
Right.
And
they take input, right? I mean, it's not, you said to Kyle here, we're going to give Blendon Pines another. I'm telling you, if you're in West Michigan, I came here 30 years ago for a gun fitting with Orvis. I didn't shoot, but I'm coming back here. This is a nice place. I mean, you could do a banquet here. You could probably do a small wedding here if you wanted to. God, see, I lost my train of thought. What did they say? Damn it, I got into the free ad for Blendon Pines. Help me, man. Help me. And this is something that one of the reasons I always gravitated toward break open guns is because the safety is on the top.
Right.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I started with an 1100. I ended up with a Browning. I had a Beretta. I had something else. And again, that safety, being left-handed,
Yep.
I had to keep my finger,
Which isn't that safe.
which is not that safe. It's not a safe way to shoot a gun. Wrap your finger around the shroud.
Yep.
I love the fact that you've got the safeties up there just like an over-under.
Yeah. And that's kind of
That just makes, I think, didn't Browning BPSs have that? That was the only one I ever, a pump that had that. I was like, holy cow, a safety that makes sense. It's right there.
Yep.
You don't want to be pushing with your index finger and looking for the trigger. That right there on the top,
Yep.
to me, that's worth the price right there.
Yeah. And that's once again, that goes back to value. It's ambidextrous.
Right, right. And now with the shim kit, it's truly ambidextrous.
Exactly.
Not just an ambidextrous safety.
Yep. Yeah. Now you still have the ejection port that is going to throw that.
It's going to go that way, yeah.
But
I've dealt with that my whole life.
I was going to say, unfortunately, if you're left-handed, you've dealt with
that. I think I have truly one left-handed gun, and it was an old friend of mine in Chicago. He says, Ron, I want you to buy this gun from me. I picked it up at a gun show. And I'm like, right at the time, too, I know he didn't have any extra money,
Yeah.
And as soon as he starts pulling it out of the gun case, I saw the diamond on the heel of the Monte Carlo grip. And I said, I already got an 1100. He says, you don't have this 1100. I said, yes, I do. He said, I just want you to shoot it. I said, I know what, that's the first gun I got, right?
Yeah.
Soft kicking. I know what this gun feels like. Yeah. He says, here, he hands me a couple shells. So I got the forearm in my right hand. I go to put the I'm like, where's the hole in the receiver? And I'm like, what? This isn't 1100. And I turn it over. I'm like, it's left-handed. Yep. But yeah, that's the only gun I've ever had that doesn't spray on a windy day shit in front of my face, you know. But I cannot wait. But then the other gun I got from you is the retro.
Yeah.
I like old shit.
Yep.
I have a rack in Virginia of old pump guns. And now I got a Mossberg to put in there because it looks like the old original corn cob.
Yep.
Whose idea was that?
We collaborate on things.
But I mean, that was not last year, was it?
Yeah, we did come out with it last year, but we started out with it in the security world, the tactical barreled stuff.
Okay.
And then
because that's a big part of your business.
it's a big part of
Military, tactical, police.
Yep, absolutely. Security. But that's the joy of working for Mossberg. I mean, you come out with this and the sales team comes together and they go, we need this. We need it to look like this. And then we react as best we can.
And I would guess on some companies, you almost got too much management. You got plenty of manufacturing, but there's too much too much management all around the world with input. You know, you guys are just like family dinner, like, how are we going to do this? I think we should do this. And you could bring up as an employee of them.
Yep.
Probably in whatever capacity you worked for them.
Absolutely.
If it's a good idea, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea. Absolutely.
Man.
And, you know, I every manufacturing struggles with, you know, we can't do everything.
Right.
We'd love to.
Right.
But, so, you know, we go through the due diligence and making sure that it's a viable product.
Right.
And, but they can react, you know, and they listen to the sales force, which our sales force is all end users, hunters, riders, you know, industry people. So it makes us a stronger company.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so glad when you mentioned that to me 2 years ago. I'm like, yeah. I said, well, okay, yeah. Well, I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then one of the first things you said was like, well, I don't want this to be just like a half a year contract. I want this to be 2 years. I'm like, so I love everybody to say, let's make a commitment. Let's get together on this stuff. And I'll be, you know, and this is I know this is company policy. You guys do a lot. You got a lot of the youth models, you know, or I wouldn't call them ladies, but they're short length of pull guns. You told me a long time ago, if I'm going to an event somewhere, give you a little time and I'll get your gun for that event.
Yep.
I couldn't get that out of any other gun company.
Yep.
I couldn't.
You know, we want to support the industry. And when I say industry, it's
the conservation.
The conservation. We're all in it together.
Yeah.
You know, and the R3 movements, the conservation groups, you know, and it's a joy. And there's always retailers that want to partner with us to make it happen.
Yeah.
London is helping us with this rubber house gun.
Yeah.
You know.
The one we can't talk about.
But you know, that's what makes it fun. That we have that flexibility, that freedom, and when we call them Bantams generally, super Bantams or Bantams,
right?
And you know, we offer over 50 models. Pretty much, if we offer every pump, you know, every platform we have, whether it's a pump, a semi-auto, an over and under, a rifle, whether it's center fire or rim fire, we offer that shorter length of pull option.
Wow. Just because people need it,
and it's the right thing to do. I mean, it's the next generation.
You say, well, you can have a gun when your arms are long enough.
Yeah,
you can get them a gun that fits early.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they learn properly, and you know, and some ladies need a shorter length of pull.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm tickled. This was a lot of fun. Now let's talk about our shooting.
Yeah. Do we have to?
No. The way it started was I was assing it up pretty good, just like I did in Vegas. Hope is not a strategy, but I will say that I had a gun I never held before, and I did not ask to see. You know, usually when you go somewhere, you say, "Can I see a pair?" And I said, "I'll go first," because you got the card for the trap and the controller. So I will say, I think for not getting to see them, I shot okay. I shot okay. I didn't embarrass myself. But I made Matt, when Matt would hit both number 1 and 2 targets, I threw doubles on him. And that would screw him up a little bit. And he calls it Ronnie's rules. It just comes from the Flying Rabbit in Virginia where, you know, if somebody was shooting good, we're going to throw number 2 instead of number 1 just to make sure. We don't need you to shoot good. We don't need you to outshoot us, but you haven't shot a lot this year, you said. Though.
No, I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
But but it's like your jiu-jitsu and then it's muscle memory. You know,
some things are.
You know,
That was beautiful. When I did try to screw you up, that's when you shot better.
And that's what I was getting to. You know, the ones I struggled on were the easy targets.
Right. Just you even the barrel. Well, how did I not move that barrel a little bit?
When you played head games with me and I just had to do it, but we hunt. You and I both hunt.
Right.
You know, and
sometimes you don't have that millisecond.
You just react.
Yeah. I mean, and if nothing else, grouse hunting, you grouse hunt for enough seasons. You don't have to do it for 30 seasons. But you've put 3 or 4 seasons of grouse hunting, you're gonna make you better at sporting clays. Yeah. And sporting clays will make you better overall reaction time. Absolutely. I mean, we don't start with the gun mounted, you know.
Right. And you have more time than you think of.
You do.
You just don't panic.
Yeah.
You just, it's smooth.
Right. I wouldn't want to go in. I was just telling you, I was so glad we did this. I'm leaving in a week. And I would have felt like I literally hadn't shouldered a gun.
Yep.
And the way I shot today is probably the way I shoot every time. But it felt good to know, like, okay, yeah, I could still react quick. I could still hit a bird out of the air, still break a target, and I could still miss.
Yep.
With the best of them. I like that one just Daniel. You missed a lot. I had to get that one there. Because there was a couple that last one, I hit you a double on. Holy shit. I didn't even let you call pull. And I was like, I want to fuck with him here.
Touch down.
That was the last target.
Yeah.
Last stand.
Yeah. That's what happens when I don't get time to think.
I think we all do better like that. Well, man, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to test these guns out. I'll be taking, I won't probably take the waterfall gun out to, no. I mean, I might do a little dove hunting out there, but I could do that with, I don't need an auto loader. But I told you I got a friend of a friend. We reconnected, and his son married the farmer's daughter and has got some great duck and geese spots. That auto loader, I can't wait.
We'll get you out on the bay.
I can't wait. And I got to come out and see your place. Now, what's that? Is this out on an island, or are you on a shore? How do you do it out there where you're going? Not exactly where, but I mean,
no.
Are you walking out the back door and sitting on your porch?
No, it's maybe a quarter mile back to the marsh behind the trailer. I just have a trailer.
Yeah, you have.
And you can hunt right there, where sometimes we do, but then the boat launch is a half mile down the road.
Okay.
And I run layout boats. I run a pontoon boat that's got a blind on it.
Oh, nice.
And then I also have my other boats that have blinds on.
Your other boats? Why? Your other... That almost sounds pretentious. My other boats... They're all decked out?
No, they're not decked out.
They're not pretentious.
They're not pretentious.
God, the pontoon sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I like that. Old camel.
Oh, it's all grass in, and we cook breakfast, have a coffee pot going.
When's that start?
Yeah.
When's that start? I'll pass on. Yeah. I'll pass on a grouse hunt to do that.
Well, we can grouse hunt right when we're done duck hunting.
Is it good grouse pretty close?
We're at the edge. No, it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. All right, Matt, thanks so much for everything you and what Mossberg does for everybody and the conservation groups and the shooting sports. And damn,
it's a pleasure.
I'm so glad you walked up to me, and I'm so glad I judged your dog 15 years ago at a NAVHDA test and didn't remember your name,
Yep.
but you reminded me of it.
Yep.
You're ace. See ya.
Thanks.